on this journey, things get tough, and we know that they can get tough quite often. But here's something that I found by noticing the patterns in my awakening journey, is that things get tough before we break through. So here's 3 signs that you're about to have a big spiritual realization. Now, people say that they crave or really want to manifest abundance on this journey, or they really want to feel really good inside of themselves. And I must admit, nothing quite beats a moment of pure clarity, one of those moments of pure ecstasy and pure bliss as we begin to realise the reason why we've been going through that thing that we've just been going through for all of that time. And I must tell you, I've had one of those recently, and it just feels incredible. And if anything, this is what we should be craving on the journey, is moments of clarity, moments of pure, true, synchronistic realization in divine timing for ourselves, because then that allows us to feel deeply connected to the universe and deeply spiritually connected and infused with the work that we're doing. So I'm going to give you 3 signs that I've noticed in my journey that I will begin to go through if I'm about to have a big spiritual breakthrough or a big realization in my life. The first one, things get really, really hard. We know that life's tough as it is, isn't it? Especially in this moment, going through the pandemic that we're going through, and this second wave seems to be just as deadly, if not more, as the last one. And I'm not here to spout fear or anything like this, but it seems to be the news want to hype up these big things, don't they? And so we go along with it, and perhaps the answer here is to turn off the news, because these things don't really sit well in our system, do they? This fear rhetoric that's played at us. But I sidetrack, because things get really tough in this journey just before something big's about to happen. We might notice our mind becoming really foggy, really cloudy, really clouded, really struggling to see the fog through the trees. But just know that this is breeding the way, in a sense, from my perspective, to a big spiritual breakthrough. Because when we can't see the trees through the fog, we seem to be blinded for a moment, don't we? And this is one of those moments when clarity can almost snap us out of it, and we go, oh, that's that thing I've been doing, now I get it, kind of thing. And this is kind of what we'll expect in our journey, especially if we're going through something really, really tough currently. 2, you have this feeling that you're about to give up. Now, we know that the mind can be a little mischievous monkey sometimes. And of course there are things that we do to screw with our minds, by the things that we put in our body and the things that we expend our energy on can really begin to screw with them. Like the people that we're hanging around with can really begin to change and influence our mental structure. And in this way, we can't say for sure that this is always a sign, but when our minds begin to convince us that we should give up on something, that's usually a really good sign that we're close to something. My feeling? It's just the ego, you know. It doesn't want us to realise the self, the main self that we are. Of course, this is also ourselves, this ego, and we are one in this thing. But there's something in this journey that doesn't want us to fulfill ourselves on this journey. It's a bit like yin and yang, isn't it? There's definitely this energy inside of ourselves that wants to take us away and keep us comfortable. And really, it's just happening for protection. But before a big realization or a big breakthrough comes, the mind will tend to want to quit, will want to run away from the circumstance. And this is a great sign, you know, because this breeds such dark feelings, such frustration and anger inside of the system sometimes, that when we get that moment of clarity, that pop on the other side, we just feel incredible for it. It's much like, I've introduced this idea in a video before, it's much like a spring. When a spring is coiled, as soon as you let go of that spring, boing, it goes, doesn't it? And we're a bit like that on this journey. We're a bit like a pressure cooker and a spring, you know, in the same way that when the pressure gets so much, the lid on the pressure cooker, poof, is going to explode if it's not adequately clamped down. Same with the spring, you know, and this is the positive side about this. It's just a pulse, this life. You know, we're just expanding, contracting, expanding, contracting. That's why we call it pulse in yoga, when we expand and contract on the mat. And if you're interested in doing some yoga, or you've just come to this path and you are interested in finding how and where and what to do at the start, you can sign up for a free breathing practice down below. It's absolutely free, and that would be a great starting point for you. It won't take you all the way, but it will certainly be a really good starting point to get some nice energy in the system to make you feel good inside, because that's what this journey is about, is well-being. As well, down below there's a free Facebook community. If you're going through an awakening journey, I've created a poll in there for people to type some ideas as to what videos they'd like to see, and that poll seems to be getting some popularity, so thank you if you're using that poll, and thank you if you're putting ideas in there. I'll be getting around to those very, very soon for videos. As well, down below there's an awakening coaching form you're more than welcome to sign up for. It's free to apply, but the coaching itself isn't free. And as well, there's the living yoga method down below, which you're more than welcome to have a look at. Back to the video. You're about to give up. The mind will convince you that giving up is going to be the best option, and perhaps this is the last ditch attempt, the bluff of the mind, to convince us to not keep going on the journey. But thank God we do, because in the next moment, complete clarity. And that's one of the signs that a breakthrough is about to come. 3 and final one, the ego's throwing up a hell of a lot of doubt. We know that doubt is one of the key ways for the mind to convince us to stop, especially in our early journey, when we don't have much proof that this journey is creating good change in my life. We don't have much proof that I'm feeling any better. The start is slow, isn't it? And at the start we do have lots of realizations and lots of spiritual breakthroughs, and sometimes lots of them happening day to day, you know. And so here's one sign, doubt from the ego, that we might be about to be having a big spiritual realization inside of ourselves. Now, of course, this journey isn't always about realizations, it's just about feeling good. And one of the best ways to feel good is yoga. That's why I offer the living yoga method down below, taught to me by my teacher. Because that's why we're here, for our well-being. And sometimes, for a while, our well-being isn't, most of us actually, for most of our lives, our well-being isn't at the forefront of why we're doing this work, but also in our lives in general. We stay in jobs for longer than we are happy to. We help people out even when we realise that right now the energy that they're asking me to give them perhaps isn't appropriate. We need to look after ourselves, and that's that idea of being selfish, you know, not selfish in the negative way, but just tending to my own energy so that my well-being sorted before I help other people. It's much like the idea on the aeroplanes. When they drop the mast down, they always say you've got to help yourself first before you help the child next to you. And this is what's happening here, is a bit of a revolution of well-being coming to the forefront. You can see it because of the virus that I mentioned earlier. People's well-being and mental health, it's clear, have not been put at the forefront of their attention and their awareness. And now it is. And so hopefully this video served in some way to help you sturdy your ship if you are going through a really tough moment, because I get it. I've been there, I go through it too myself. The cycles are a bit different now for me, but we're still human and we're still all in this together. And these moments of complete blindness in the journey, when moments are getting hard, they're just a great sign that you're doing something very, very good. And if we keep paying attention, perhaps we're very close to a spiritual breakthrough, or a really nice aha moment, or a eureka moment inside of ourselves. I hope this video helps. I really wish you the greatest day, and so namaste.